that it's a very special day. I woke up early this morning with gloom on my head. Had a big feeling to climb back in bed. Then I looked in the mirror and somebody said, wake up, wake up. It's time for you to lose the blues, and this is a very special treat. Tell it to everyone you meet that life is all for living and love is all for giving. So this is a very special day. Tell it to everyone along the way that this is a very special day. Up early this morning with gloom on my head. Had a big feeling to climb back in bed. Then I looked in the mirror and somebody said, wake up, wake up. It's time for you to lose the blues, and this is a very special treat. Tell it to everyone you meet that life is all for living and love is all for giving. So this is a very special day. Tell it to everyone along the way that this is a very special day.
Very special day. It's a finally Friday, fantastic Friday, maybe a Fry-yay. That means my partner in crime, my co-host this morning, is Holly Thompson from Salem Crossing. Good morning, Holly.
Good morning.
Happy Fry-yay.
Fry-yay. I love it.
Good to have you with us. And in the house, we have got a group, I'm telling you. We have we have the Lutherans with us. The Luth with us.
We're back.
We're back.
We are.
Everybody loves this time, for sure. And I'll let everyone introduce themselves. And I do know all your names, but I'll let you introduce yourselves.
I'm Ron Rieckers. I'm president of the Lutheran Mission Federation.
Which they probably recognize your voice. You know, they've heard you quite a few.
You think I have a distinctive voice?
Yeah, I think, we listened to him. We know that.
Who is that redneck?
I don't think that. All right, Martin.
And this is Martin Keller. I'm the pastor down at Faith in Salem. It's just 1 mile south of the courthouse, Faith Lutheran Church. And also I have with us now our vicar. He will be working there for the year, and then God willing afterwards they'll call him as pastor. And this is Janis Mikits, and he is the vicar, fresh out of seminary. Go ahead.
That name.
Yeah, yes, absolutely. Well, we're going to find out all about everyone here in the room, but let's thank our sponsors, Holly.
We would like to thank Meadowview Healthcare, Walmart, Salem Crossing, Hoosier Uplands, Americans for Prosperity, Fox Pearly Wealth Management, Cowboys Barbecue, and Dr. Black's Eye Associates, Dr. Mindy Gunn. Thank you, sponsors.
Absolutely, and we should be getting a phone call, and if she gets a chance, we're going to try to talk real quick to Taylor Humphrey. She is the president of the Betterment Committee of Pekin Fourth, and we know this is the kickoff. I know a lot of people actually are off today. My dad always used to say to people with good jobs, people that have a good job, get the day off, and so this is actually going to be extended weekend for some, and gearing up, getting ready for the Pekin Fourth, and I don't want to let the cat out of the bag too much, but the parade route has changed, so I just want to make sure everybody, and we'll find out from Taylor if she gets a chance to call in, but I do have it on my Facebook, I have it on my website, you can check it out. So the parade route has changed due to construction at Pekin, so there is some changes, and we'll see if Taylor gives us a call and calls in. Today is, well, let's think, they're hopefully on cue, Taylor. Taylor, good morning. Hi, welcome to Coffee Club.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm fantastic, and you perfect timing, and I appreciate you.
Rock out at work, rock out in the car, or wherever you are with 97.9 WSLM.
6 minutes after the hour, Cook's Pest Control Best of Rick and Bubba Show. We'll be doing best ofs next week. We'll all be back live the 10th, July 10th. Until then, we're going to go down memory lane and relive some of the past bits that we enjoy. How about this? Today's Rick and Bubba Show is sponsored by ReliefFactor.com. Now, we all suffer from aches and pains.
We have pictures of the maps on our Facebook page, and I know on WSLM as well. But pretty much the biggest change is going to be, instead of turning into the park right there on 3rd Street, the parade will be turning left, going towards the fire department. So there will be no parade going through the park for people who usually sit there.
Right.
And then for the night of the 3rd, for the Juice Box Heroes, unfortunately some things have changed with parking due to the construction as well. So we just ask that, people park at their usual spots or wherever they can find a place, since we won't be able to park at the school, unfortunately. And we just ask that everyone please be careful and be on their high alert for everyone walking, especially all these little kids who are excited to get over to the park and ride some rides. But we're still going to make it happen. The parade will still go on, and we're just excited for it. So.
Well, Taylor, I love that, and you're very accustomed to bobbing and weaving, and and the show will go on. And so we just ask everybody to please be considerate and also be kind, and also drive very safe, because we know that there's a lot of children that get very excited. It's a fun time. It's a great family time, and just watch out for children that might be darting around. And
yes, that's the biggest thing. We just want to keep everyone safe. And that, the safety was in mind for everyone when doing that parade route with Jeff Thomas, the Pekin Town Marshal. So this is our plan B, but we've had it down in our heads for a while what the plan B would be. So, but if anyone has any questions or concerns, feel free to contact us via Facebook. Our website, or my phone number is listed just about everywhere, so people are welcome to call me as well.
That's awesome. All right, fantastic. Taylor, keep up the great work. You do a great job. Again, just kind of a little bit of highlights. Remember, Monday night will be the wonderful fireworks. We love that, 10 o'clock. And right after the Jukebox Heroes, which we're super duper excited. Holly Thompson and I were just talking about how great they are. And that's going to be a lot of family fun and time for the, and great that you got them. That's wonderful. You've worked hard on this. You've got rides for the kids, and some really good rides coming in. And then, of course, then on Tuesday morning, 4th of July, will be at 10 a.m. will be the parade. So your committee has worked very hard, and hats off to all of you. And we want to say a thank you for putting on such a great show. We're looking forward to this.
Thank you so much, and I will be looking for you in the parade.
Absolutely, yes. I can't wait for that. And
Sitting
real quick,
at the corner, right? Sitting at the corner.
I'll be on the corner, absolutely.
Yes.
Down on the corner?
Yeah, down on the corner, out in the street.
Yeah.
That's me. Real quick, you want to tell real quick, or how? I can't remember. Are we telling yet the Grand Marshal? We are, aren't we?
Yes. Our Grand Marshals are Billy Hagan and Jeff Souter from CNS Auction.
Yes.
So
awesome.
Make sure to wave at them.
We love that. Love that. I always love to hear who's the Grand Marshal. That's fantastic.
Yes. It's very special.
Very special, for sure. Well, keep up the great work, Taylor, and we'll sure keep people informed. And we appreciate you calling in this morning. And this is a start. Let the fun begin, Taylor.
Let the fun begin this weekend. You guys have a happy Friday.
All right, thank you. Right back at you, honey. All right, bye-bye.
Bye.
And you can hear the excitement and the energy. Just wait by Tuesday night.
Almost as much energy as you have, Rebecca.
I know, we do. Well, we get excited, that's right. And she's just, she's very excited too about it all, and she's worked very hard for that.
She has. She'll be ready to sleep Tuesday night.
Yeah,
after
Tuesday
all.
night.
Or Wednesday morning.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Yeah, I know. That's what I'm thinking.
But
Wednesday
yeah.
morning. She's, probably
They put
gonna.
a lot of hard work into this, and everybody appreciates it.
I think she scheduled a massage on Wednesday.
So to be clear, you'll be standing on a corner in Pekin, Indiana,
Yeah,
such a fine sight to see.
Oh, yeah.
It's a girl, my lord.
Yeah.
No flatbed Ford?
Oh, I love that. Go, Martin.
Coming down to take a look at me.
You're talking one of my favorite groups there. Yeah. I actually want to go do that. I want to actually do that song. I want to do that.
They've got
to go to Winslow, Arizona.
Yeah, Zona. Yeah.
They've got a statue there.
Yeah.
Of that on the corner in Winslow, Arizona.
Okay, now I gotta go. Okay.
You have to.
Now, okay.
You can look it up.
Martin, you just, I didn't know you could be any cooler. Okay, I didn't know you could go that much.
I'm full of surprises.
You are. I'm just like in awe. Okay.
I mean,
now
he is.
Now, yeah.
I don't have anybody to humble me like Pastor Currao or anything like that. I've got a vicar who has to look up to me.
Is that a challenge?
I can't even remember. Did we read the sponsors?
We did.
Okay.
Now, what day?
I don't know.
There's a lot going on.
Yeah, this group always makes that. Yeah. I got to reel everybody back in because I have no idea. But today is, of course, we're getting to the end of the month, and the 30th of June today is Drive Your Corvette to Work Day, International Asteroid Day, International Sailor Moon Day, National Food Truck Day. I love good food trucks. I love good food trucks. I never
Is there
had
any
those
food trucks here in Salem then?
There will be in Pekin.
Okay, in
Pekin for the 4th of July. National Meteor Day. National Organization for Women Day. Social Media Day. Don't we love that?
Yeah, we're going to be talking about social media here in just a minute.
Apropos. Very good. Okay, let's find out. I'm going to dive right in, okay? So I want to explain. I have to go back to, have you seen this show? It's called Keeping Up Appearances.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes,
okay. And when the Victor is coming.
Victor, not Victor.
Oh, sorry.
Vicar, just like him.
He's coming.
He's a dishy vicar, right?
We have to put on the Ritz, and we have to be on our best behavior, set up straight, all of this, right?
Yeah.
So what is the difference, and I love learning, what is the difference between a vicar and a pastor?
Okay, well, since we've got one right here, Vicar Janis Mikits, he's going to tell us. What's the difference between a pastor and a vicar?
So for those that, well, first of all, vicar means different things depending on who you are.
Okay.
But technically derives from the Latin, right?
Yes.
Meaning one who is in the place of.
Yeah.
So a vicar in the Lutheran Church is one who is in the place of the pastor, and the pastor is the one who is in the place of Christ in terms of sharing God's word with his people. In practical sense and in a secular form, the easiest way to think of a vicar is someone who's essentially on an internship.
Okay.
So like a substitute
He's not
teacher.
ordained.
Well, not kind of like a pastor in training would be a better way of saying it.
Rather than substitute, maybe a student teacher.
There we go.
They're not a teacher yet, but they're filling in under the tutelage of a teacher then.
Okay.
Yeah, and so basically this situation that we have here in Salem is unique. Usually a vicar is someone who, our seminary is 4 years long typically, and a vicar is someone that usually goes out on their 3rd year on this internship and then goes back to school for a 4th year and then comes out as a pastor. In my situation, I did all the schoolwork up ahead of time, and now I'm doing the internship under Pastor Keller, and then at the end I will become a pastor.
Okay. This is so awesome. I love that, and I love that year. I mean, because you're learning, of course, the people.
Yep.
You're learning. I mean, I think that is so. I think we need to mentor more. I think we need more of that. That's
Very much
so valuable.
Where did you go to school?
Well, I have a few schools. Are you talking about the seminary specifically?
Yes. Yes.
I went to. So the school to be a pastor is called a seminary, and there are 2 for the Lutheran Church Missouri Synod. One in Fort Wayne here in Indiana, and the other one in St. Louis in Missouri. And I went to the one in St. Louis. And so I just finished up classes May 19th, and I was here a couple weeks later.
Oh, that's awesome.
right.
So are you actually, tell us a little bit about yourself. Are you originally from Missouri, or are you?
I'm originally from Indiana, actually.
Yeah, you're an Indiana guy. Awesome.
Yeah,
okay,
I'm
Hoosier all the way.
Yeah, Hoosier.
So I was born and raised in Beech Grove, Indiana, just on the southeast side of Indianapolis.
Okay.
Back then it was a small town. Now you can't tell the difference between Indianapolis and Beech Grove. But that's where I was literally born and raised. I went to high school there, and then at the age of 18, I went off to West Point. And,
wow,
nice.
West Point.
West Point.
That's
and so I was 18 then, and I'm 46 now. So 28 years later, I've returned to Indiana.
oh yay! Well, we're glad to get you back.
Yeah.
Well,
That's
let's.
wonderful.
So you were how long? You were put in your 20 years, right?
Yeah. So I went to I went to West Point for 4 years, and then I became an Army officer, and I served 20 years in the Army.
Thank you.
Thank you for your service.
Well, thank you. And then after those 20 years, 2 tours to Afghanistan in the middle of all that.
Oh, wow.
And then after those 20 years, then I went to seminary, and after the seminary, then I came here. So that's where the 28 years comes from.
Cover your ears. I don't know how we got him, but
Well, you know that's it. Not only that, but
are you guys? This is
not only that, but you were also in Germany and the Ukraine in Kiev.
wow.
Yeah, so my career was varied. I started out as an artillery officer, and then the Army decided to send me back to West Point as a professor, so I went to Harvard, got a grad degree in economics, and
Oh my gosh.
and then the last half of my career, I was essentially a military diplomat. I worked in the embassies, and then I also worked on international weapons and arms treaties negotiations.
The credentials
We're-
just keep
And so I was in Ukraine in 2014 when the war started.
Oh my
We
goodness.
So a lot of
only
people
wanted
forget
Salem
that
to
war
have the
started in
best.
2014.
Yeah.
We only
That's
wanted to send you the best
That's
that we
right.
I am
had.
so
right.
amazed.
You know,
Here, I'm going to
Wait.
serve up a cough ball, a soft ball.
A hairball.
a hairball.
I got a hairball going on over
Did you ever return to West Point?
So I returned to West.
Oh my gosh.
So after Harvard, I went back to West Point, and I taught there for 3 years. I taught macroeconomics, international economics, and game theory, and I was the academic advisor for the social science department. And while I was
Game
there,
theory, is that like war games?
yes,
That is awesome.
Real war games.
This is 3 men in one. I mean,
Yeah.
you got above and beyond here. Okay, go ahead. I'm so sorry.
yeah.
Keep going. I'm sorry.
And so that's when I did my first tour to Afghanistan. I worked at the Afghan Military Academy, advising them. I helped write their curriculum for the social science department, and then also taught them how to defend their perimeter. I was at Kabul airfield where that disaster happened as we were leaving. So that's where I lived for the first tour, and then the second tour I was in the southwestern part of Afghanistan called Ghazni. Its claim to fame is that it was the headquarters of the Ghaznid Empire about 1,500 years ago. But the other claim is longest stretch of the ring road in Afghanistan. So that was a lot of work protecting that road, keeping that safe.
Wow. So how's it feel to come back home?
It feels like you're coming back home.
Oh.
You know, a lot of when you're getting close to leaving the seminary, there's a lot of discussion and a lot of classes about kind of ingraining yourself into the culture, getting to know the people, understanding what's going on. And I don't. It's not as if I didn't pay attention, but I knew kind of where I was coming. I didn't know Salem at the time. But I felt very at ease, and coming back here, I feel like I'm coming home. I never lived in Salem, but my mom was born not too far from here in Bedford, and her family has deep roots here, and so I spent a lot of time around the Seymour area and around the Bedford area and around the Morgantown area growing up.
Brownstown, Seymour, North Vernon, the region's rock classic station, 97.9, 97.9 WSL.
Don't forget, those of you around the country, you know, I have to give you some history on a team that may not be familiar to you. I know that all of us think of the states we live in, since it's the end all for all of us, it must be for everybody else, but it's not. There are people, believe it or not, I know it may shock people in our home state, that couldn't care less about these two schools. Okay, but anyway, because they've got their own team. But in the history of this team, they have won 2 national championships. One was 1957, and one was 2010. Is that right? Yeah. Mm-hmm. All right. So, and those of you around the country who are not familiar with the school, that's where Cam Newton played and won the national championship. And as a matter of fact, my son was on that team. So there was a lot of stuff in there where he's with, on that national championship team. That was great. And he was the backup center for that team, played special teams, and played in every game, and even played center in a lot of games. It was really great. So we're all enjoying that. Okay. Now keep in mind, we're at the athletic department because our kid is a student athlete. So during the tour and people talking and whatever, there's even people doing interviews, where they want to talk to the, and all of a sudden I start realizing something's going on. And my dad is, no one can account for him, and there's people talking to him. Now, again, there's
there's not a fight in the stands again, and your dad's not in the seat.
No, this is better. Y'all gonna absolutely love this. So, 1957 they won a national championship. 2010 they did. All of a sudden, my dad comes over and he's talking to me, and I say, "What's going on, Dad?" And he says, "Well," he said, they wanted to try to do something. The fact that me and Blake played here at Auburn. And I said, "Okay." And he said, "I was saying something about the fact that it's interesting that the 2 of us won national championship." I said, "But Dad, there's one problem with that. You weren't on the 57.
Just one slight problem.
You got to Auburn in 59.
All right.
You know what I mean?" He goes, "Yeah, I know, but I think that guy thinks I was on the national championship team." What guy? The guy doing the publicity? You know what I mean? And he goes, "Yeah, I mean, he's over there talking." And I said, "Well, Dad, tell him you weren't on the team. Why don't you do that?" He goes, "Well, I just don't know. He just got to going." And I said, "Dad, are they doing a story that you and Blake played on national championship team? Is that going on?" He goes, "I don't know. There's a camera over here, and they want to interview you and Blake." I said, "What? Dad, I'm the guy that's got to sit there on the camera and go, by the way, my dad didn't play on that team. My dad got here in 59. Okay. So I look, and Dad's over to get his picture made in front of the 57 logo. And I'm like, "Dad." And he looks at me and says, "Oh, I can't say exactly what he said." And he said, "What does it matter?" And I said, "Dad, it really matters. I mean, it really does matter if they're going to do a whole story that grandfather and grandson played on 2 national championship teams at the same university."
The only 2.
That's a big deal, Dad.
Rick, the only 2. And Rick, a lot of people don't know you played on their undefeated season when they didn't get a chance. So, I mean, get the whole family in there.
Right. I said, "Does that explain why they're interviewing me about how we got robbed in 2003? I said, "Dad, this is not good. We need to do something about this." He goes, "Well, I don't know. Y'all was so excited about it." I said, "But Dad, it can't be a story. We can't have media. If y'all reading a story about that today, please tell me." I mean, and so now they go over to me and they're like, "Hey, we just want to do an interview." And I'm like, "Dad, I can't be interviewed about this."
Go ahead, son.
Well, I wasn't alive then. I don't know when he played. Yeah. I mean,
it was way back.
Yeah, your dad was a linebacker, fullback.
Rick, couldn't you just say back in the 50s? Back in the 50s.
Well, now he did play in the 50s, even the late 50s, real late. 59. And
I remember it like it was yesterday.
And then he gets ready. He goes, "Yeah, he told me, he said he saw my car. He's talking about these 2 cards and that saw where I like to block." Well, yeah, I like to block. Heck, we had running backs so good they never gave me the ball. I didn't have a choice to block. It wasn't whether I liked it or not. I was the blocker. And I'm like, "Dad, you didn't
Now
play."
he's convinced himself he played in 57.
Dad, you won a national Dad, can I give you a heads up? You won a national championship when you coached.
Right. Yeah.
At another school. You didn't win it at Auburn ever. And he goes, "Well, it's just good. They just think it's such a good story." "Dad, but it is, but it's not. That's not the story, though. There's one small problem with it. You didn't play on the 57 team." And he looks. Then I love this part where he begins to wonder maybe he did. He goes to Mom. He goes, "Hey, when did I come to Auburn?" I said, "Did you know when you came to Auburn?" And she goes, 59 deal. You're like that, not 57. He goes, "Oh, well, it's been so long ago, who knows?" I said, Dad, there's probably a team. Because they went over to have a team picture of the 2010, and Blake's over getting his picture. I said, Dad, if they put you in front of that 57, he goes, you can't tell who those guys are. He goes, I'll just point to 33 and tell them that's me. He said, that was my number. I said, Dad, now you were 33. You did play at Auburn. The only problem, you weren't on that team. That's the only issue with it. It's a big one.
And this is happening at the athletic department.
Yes, he's wandering around getting his picture made from the logo. I look over one time, he's posing with his hand out in front of the 57 logo. And my mother says, you can't do that with him anymore. I said, have we ever been to do anything with him? And then he you know, he did that time like we did the deer hunting thing, when he said to Greg, remember that? Oh, there's the time you'd been all about this. And he goes, who are you? This is right up your alley. And I said, but Dad,
it is.
I don't know, something just doesn't feel good about it.
Rick,
You know what I mean?
Rick, but you're the guy that got in other pictures in your annual.
I know.
All right, I mean, you were like in the Spanish Club picture, and you weren't in the Spanish Club.
Guys, it's a pretty big deal when they're trying to do a heartwarming story about a grandfather and grandson playing on the only 2 national championship teams this university's ever had.
And look, I'll be honest with you, the number
doing
of people who's going to see the picture and can track down if Rick was in the Key Club or not versus his dad on the national championship team, there's more documentation goes with the national championship team. There really is.
I love how he said, I was there in the late 50s. I mean, it wasn't going to matter. No, it does. If they do a whole story on it, it really doesn't matter. And people are like, come up to me. One time a guy came up from the school newspaper and says, now what's everybody's name again? I said, I don't know who these people are.
I don't know.
Burgess.
My
dad won national championship at Jacksonville State as a coach. He sure did. Yeah, and then the 57 team. Well,
yeah, it was 50 and
something. It was 59. Did they win one for them? You know, and I can already
Rick, I would play. He was here in the late 50s. I don't know when he played.
Look, I wish
I wasn't born yet. How do I know?
This is where you think if they both went to Alabama, they could have blended in with all the championships.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? When you only got 2, though, everybody can put a spotlight on it. You know what I mean? Well, I was on one of them. You got 15 of them. I'm in there somewhere.
Yeah, I was on him too.
So it was extremely uncomfortable, and it never really got cleared up. So there may be a story today.
I'm looking right now.
I hope there is.
I hope there's one at like AL.com or something.
We're going to start searching right now.
When he was getting his picture made in front of the logo, I said, Dad, this isn't helping. This is not. He goes, what's I'm just getting in front of the 2 logos. Dad, everybody, first of all, have you clarified when you were at Auburn?
We're all Googling right now.
I mean, just
please.
as we can.
Oh my gosh.
No, don't say this. Take it back.
Y'all,
I literally I did get interviewed on camera, as did Blake. Now I did not go there. I wouldn't go there. Well, it must be a big day for. Yeah, and then you know what I said? Grandson and son did play at the same school. Yes, they did.
Rick,
it's very. Don't, Speedy, I'm telling you. Please don't tell me there's an article.
Rick Burgess. Grandfather Bill Burgess played for national championship team at 57. No, I'm kidding. I'm making that up. Let's see here. If you Rick, I will say this: if you Google it, it says academic honor roll, played in every game for the national championship. Dad on Rick and Bubba. Grandfather Bill Burgess played at Auburn.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Hold on.
It's still early.
Okay, hold on. Let me say this though. Okay, let me say this. And it must be generational. And I know y'all going, who are you, Rick?
17 Sorry to put you on the spot.
Yeah.
at gmail.com, or just call me.
Yeah. Emails are a little bit better because, like, sometimes phone calls, if the phone goes off like at 2 or 3 in the morning, it's like,
Right.
Yeah. So maybe an email would be, shoot him an email, or just come and see him,
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The church is wonderful. And very, very inviting. All right, so Ron, we were going to be talking about some social media you were talking about today, and some, what direction were we going to go?
Well, I want to start out,
Okay.
excuse me, I want to start out with the newest project by the Lutheran Mission Federation. We are attempting to put religious Christmas, children's Christmas programs back on television. As most of you know, you can go through the whole Christmas season and not even hear a word about it being Jesus' birth. So we took on this project that is over and above our budget, so we're having to do fundraising and things like that. But I have talked to 4 TV stations in Louisville, Wave TV 3, WHAS 11, WDRB 41, which is the Fox affiliate, and WBKI, which is channel 58, and all have agreed to air a animated Christmas children's program that is put out by the Lutheran Hour. The Lutheran Hour has 6 programs that they have done over the years, the oldest one being about as old as I am. It came out when I was in grade school. I'm 64, so you know it's been a while. But we are in the fundraising phase of this and are making good progress. I have nailed down some times when the shows will be on the radio or the TV stations. WDRB Fox has told me that they would give me 7:30 p.m. on December 16th, which is the time I was shooting for with all the TV stations. WBKI will be a week before that, December 9th, on at noon, which is a Saturday. Wave TV will be on at noon on December 23rd.
My birthday.
Is that your birthday?
It is.
Yeah. Well,
2 days before Jesus.
and WHAS says it's too early yet to talk on times. They haven't got, evidently, I'm learning a lot about television. Evidently, they get their times from, like, what are they, ABC. ABC says you can have so much local time. They haven't received that information from their New York office or whatever, so we're not sure on the time on that. But I pretty much have got those all nailed down now. Like I said, we're doing the fundraising. You can look, I have a flyer. I've been going around doing speeches, and we created a flyer for me to talk to all the southern Indiana pastors. The Indiana district covers southern all of Indiana pretty much, but what we're dealing with here is southern Indiana and Kentucky, and the Indiana district goes all the way to Lexington, Kentucky, I believe. So I talked to them, and which has generated interest in other churches that are now members of the Mission Federation, and they have been donating some money. So we're pretty much nailed down the times on the TV stations. Now what we're raising money for is we have spots within the show that the Mission Federation has to record like a commercial, but it's not a commercial, but an information spot, and we have 3 minutes worth, 3 60-second spots that we have to come up with. So now we're raising money for that. Now, one of the questions is, what if you raise too much money? Well, this money will be separate from the Mission Federation's budget. It's going to be kept totally separate. If we raise too much, we will just roll it over till next year, so we don't have to raise as much. If we raise a whole lot of money, there are Easter programs that the Lutheran Hour puts out, and we'll buy time to put the Easter program. So then what we're hoping to is to reach the unchurched children, or adults, whoever wants to watch, but then they could see the beginning of Christ as he comes to earth as a baby, and his death and resurrection, kind of like the beginning and the end, and inform them about what this is all about, especially Christmas being, it's not about Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, it's not about Frosty the Snowman. No, this is Jesus' birth. This is his birthday, and we want to get that message out. So if you want to see this flyer that my daughter created, actually, go to Lutheran Mission Federation on the Facebook page. That's our Facebook page, Lutheran Mission Federation. And this flyer is on.
Kentuckiana's home for the best rock classics 24/7, 365, 97.9 WSL.
To the Lutheran Mission Federation, to Brandon Hunsley at the Trust Department, which is the Jackson County Bank address, P.O. Box 1001, Seymour, Indiana. and that is on our Facebook page, so you can look at that. But Brandon is also our treasurer, and so he's keeping track of these funds so that it goes directly to him, and he lets me know how much we have, and then he writes the checks to the TV stations.
So this is, again, to get Christian, Christ-centered programming on the Louisville stations, and that's what the Lutheran Mission Federation will want to do at Christmas time. And if God willing, you're moved to donate, he's given you that information. Again, look the Lutheran Mission Federation on Facebook, and that's really the goal, is to bring Christ to the nations and the nations to the Church of Christ, and that's
sounds
what.
like you're auditioning for the Lutheran Hour.
Well, I probably am. Probably am.
For those of you that listen to Lutheran Hour and WSLM, you've probably heard Mark Asher say that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
What time is it on here in Salem then?
10:15.
Yeah.
10:15.
10:15, right here
On Sundays?
On Sunday
Sunday
morning.
mornings.
So we'll
Yep.
now. That's probably a reason why I haven't heard it, because we're right in the middle of our service then, or at least during it. But
When a year, when he takes over, then you'll be able to hear.
that's right. That's right. That's right. I will have
No,
to
he'll
do
be
that.
on vacation.
No.
That's where he'll be out traveling the world.
So you can hear it, no matter
That's right.
when you're underneath that palm tree, you can be listening, Mark.
That's right.
Okay?
So you talked about Bible study then, right, and the importance of that. Thank you, Ron, for that.
Yeah.
We wanted to talk about a particular topic that is on a lot of people's minds, that is about what happens at the end, or the last days. And there are lots of confusion about that. Ron,
Well, I talked to Pastor and I said, can we talk about this? Because on Facebook, if you go to their video thing, which I seldom do, but I did one night, there are so many false prophets coming out with all these ideas and things, and they're just confusing people. And I said, can you guys come on and talk about what the Bible actually says? So that's why these guys are here, and they're going to tell you just what the Bible says about that.
Okay, that sounds like, thank you for that segue,
intro.
Ron.
There you go.
Appreciate that. But and it's good that it comes from Ron, a layman, that we pastors have a pretty good idea of what, but we want to share with the listening audience about when Jesus talks about the last days or about Judgment Day. What is that whole scenario like? What is that going to look like, and what does that mean for us today then? And one of the important things is if you take a look at the letter to the Hebrews, the very first opening says, "In many and various ways God spoke to his people of old by the prophets, but now in these last days he has spoken to us by his Son." And what that means is that you have, as it were, the Old Testament and now the New Testament. And since the time of Christ's birth, suffering, death, resurrection, ascension, we are in, as the Bible calls it, the last days. You have the former times, Old Testament, now we have the new times. And so if we keep that in mind, we're in the last days. Once this age is over, which started with Jesus' life, death, and resurrection, there will be nothing after this on earth. And that's something to keep clear, that there's Old Testament, New Testament. We're in the New Testament. New Testament talks about it as the last days of Christ coming. And much of the confusion about that stems from a misunderstanding of the book of Revelation. And anytime people talk about the book of Revelation, it's like, oh, I don't like it, oh, it's scary. But really, that book was written to Christians who are in persecution, who are in suffering. And that wonderful phrase in chapter 2, verse 10 is kind of the summary of it all. Be faithful unto death, and I'll give you the crown of life. That's good news, that no matter what happens in this life, Christ has won for us a crown of life, eternal life. And so, again, keep that in mind. Also, when we talk about the book of Revelation, that it is a lot of symbolic language. It's John is in a vision. He sees things, heavenly things that he has a difficult time coming to terms to describe. He says, it's like this, it's like this. And all of the imagery there can be found in the Old Testament in some ways. And so he's not reinventing that. Of course, it comes from Christ, and so he's simply recording this. And so, that's symbolic language, and so we have to understand symbolic language, visions, and numbers as well. If you said, I've told you 1,000,000 times, I'm saying I've told you a lot, right? And it's the same way in the book of Revelation. Vicar?
Well, I think one of the ways, kind of just getting a big picture, I usually like starting big picture and then honing in. So there's a couple of things that I think the listeners might want to hear in order to understand what we're talking about with a lot of these verses. First of all, one of the things that Pastor was talking about with Hebrews is the Old Testament and the New Testament, and one of the things to understand here is that we are in what many scholars call the now but not yet nature of the kingdom of God. And Paul talks about this a lot in his epistles, and it's that Jesus has already conquered sin and death, right? But we still have sin and death in the world. Why is that? Well, it's because Christ has conquered it, but he hasn't fully consummated his reign, and that will come at the second coming. That will come on the day of judgment. And so we live in this in-between stage when there's a lot of tension of, well, Jesus won, but why is there still death? Why is there still cancer? Why is there still pain? And that's the era that we're living in, and we'll live in that area until Jesus comes again. The second thing is about not only prophecy, but specifically Jewish apocalyptic literature, which is what the book of Revelation is. Apocalyptic meaning, towards the end. Or revealing. Apocalypse is a revealing, right? And so, in fact, the old term for the book of Revelation is the Apocalypse of St. John. And we in the Western world think in a line. We have linear logic. We start with point A, we move to point B. That's my military coming out in me, right?
Yeah.
But with Jewish apocalyptic literature, sometimes pastors and scholars will say, well, it's a circle. I don't even think it's a circle. Have you ever seen the back of like a flashlight battery holder where it has that spring on the back to keep the battery in place? It's one of the nodes. Well, that's kind of what you're thinking of. When John is writing the book of Revelation, he's going in a circle and he keeps re-explaining things. But not only is it going in a circle, but it's going to an apex, meaning the coming of Christ and our heavenly home. Well, our new created home. And so you see, not only is it a spiral, but it's a tightening spiral going to an apex. The third thing I want to explain, especially when we get into Old Testament prophecy, the vast majority, I want to say all of it, but I'm a little leery of saying all on most things. But the vast majority of Old Testament prophecy points to Jesus, right? That's the whole. If you can think of it, that the entire Old Testament is God's plan about Jesus, starting in Genesis when there's a promise of a Savior, and so. But when the prophets see a prophecy, first of all, they're seeing things that they don't quite understand or don't have words for at the time that they're seeing them. And the other thing is that you see, as prophecy, you see a near and a far picture, kind of like if you've ever read a pop-up book to a child, and not the type where you open it like a regular book and it pops out at you, but the type that you lay flat on a table and you kind of lift up, and then you have a series of maybe 3 or 4 different pop-ups at various distances. Imagine, if you will, a prophet is looking at the future and he's seeing this pop-up, but rather than seeing it in 3D with depth, it gets pushed all together into one picture. And so that's what you're seeing a lot of times, is this near and far aspects of the prophecy of the Old Testament smushed into one picture. And that's, I think, where a lot of the confusion comes from.
Yeah, and certainly when we interpret the Bible, you always start with the very clear, straightforward words of Jesus, and then there are other parts that maybe are not quite as clear or immediate understanding, and so you use the clear parts of Scripture, the straight out preaching of Jesus, to interpret things that may be less clear. And so you have this scenario of what's going to happen that Jesus lays out. You see and we'll get to the book of Revelation, but when we start with the words of Jesus, what's going to happen. Matthew chapter 24 and 25 talk about a number of things. It talks about in Matthew 25 verse 31 when the Son of Man comes in all his glory and he sits on his throne, that's the last day, and he separates the sheep and the goats, and the sheep are taken to heaven, the goats are sent to hell. So that's the end.
So explain, as we were talking, as we were driving, what you just said. A lot of what's on the social media and a lot that's been preaching as fact is the rapture that's going to take people away before the fact.
Yes, the rapture, which in modern translations aren't really found, but it usually comes from 1 Thessalonians 4:17, when it talks about we who are alive are left, and who are left will be caught up. Or in Matthew 24, it talks about two men, one is taken, the other one is left, or two women needing or at doing their work, one is taken, the other one is left. And really what is talked about there, being left, is not left behind, but rather left alive, and the other one dies, is taken away. And if you take a look at any number of the passages, likewise, it talks about in 1 Thessalonians 4:17, we who are alive, who are left alive, haven't died, will be caught up in the clouds and with the Lord forever. And so both those terms is simply saying that when Christ comes, those who are alive will also be with the Lord and will be with him forever. It's not like if you've died, you missed out on the resurrection or the return of Jesus. So that I think is what we need.
There's no second chance.
There's no second chance. It's either now or never, and the decision time is really in our life, and so at the end, really, it's sort of separation. In fact, Jesus talks about in John chapter 5 about now is the time of judgment. Now is the day to be ready, because when you die, it's too late. You're either a sheep or a goat, and the distinction there is faith in Christ. That either you trust in Jesus as your Savior, your rescuer, the one who has paid for your sins, or you trust in something else, another God, or even yourself, and that is the division. Jesus talks about that very clearly, that those who believe in me are alive, and those who do not are dead. And here he's talking about spiritual terms. And so we also have the thing about the millennium, or the 1,000 years, and that's in Revelation chapter 20, in which Jesus talks about this long period of time. And really what he's talking about there is a symbolic number, intentionally, that just like we said, I've told you 1,000,000 times, well, that's not possible.
How many times do we say that? I've told you 1,000,000 times.
I've told you once, I've told you 1,000 times. It means, and so there as well, 1,000 years is a long time, and it represents the time from Jesus' death and resurrection until when he comes back, whatever that time is. And so, we are in those last days. We are in the, as it were, millennium, and we are ruling with Christ in the sense that he has given us his word, and that we are ruling the world with his word not with armies and powers and all of that, but rather simply by his word. We reign with Christ as we use his word.
Yeah, I think one of the distinctions here that we're talking about is whether or not the reign of Christ is a physical, political entity, or whether or not it is a spiritual kingdom.
Yes.
And so when we say that Christ's kingdom has already arrived, we're talking about a spiritual kingdom, one in which sins are forgiven, eternal life is granted, and justice prevails with Christ's kingdom, as opposed to a 1,000-year reign of a physical spot on the planet Earth, separate from everything else. I would say one of the other things I want to talk about with the rapture, one of the components on the fancy word is dispensational millennialism.
Wow.
But that's coming from, that when people talk about rapture, that's what they're talking about.
Elmira, Corridon, and Maringo's home for rock classics. 97.9 WSLM.
Then you can accept you can accept Christ's gift again. You can receive that gift, but what we're saying is that doesn't happen when Christ comes again. That's it. The Judgment Day occurs. There's not a second chance.
Yeah, a lot of social media, like what I was talking with Pastor Keller, is, well, you missed the rapture. Everybody was taken, but now you're left. You're left behind. But don't worry, because you can still do this and be saved. And that's the confusion what I wanted them to.
Yes, and I think we need to again keep clear what the Bible talks about. Mm-hmm. That is, Jesus has come, suffered, died, rose again, and he will come again. And in between his first coming in the flesh as a man, as well, of course, true God, from that time until the end of time, Judgment Day, that's the 1,000 years. It's been longer than 1,000 years, so obviously it's not intended to be a literal time, although it's symbolic, and I will commend people that they want to take the Bible literally. They want to say, no, it's not a bunch of fairy tales, but we have to understand that they use symbolic language, and we have to understand the world of the Bible in which those terms were used. And so again, we have Jesus' death and resurrection. We'll have him coming back on the very last day, and in between is this so-called, is this 1,000 years, a long time. It's 10 times 10 times 10, the perfect period of time. People have always thought that, well, it's right around the corner. In the year 1000 AD, they thought for sure that the world was coming to end. And when you had Viking raiders coming down and virtually destroying France and England, you think, yeah, this maybe is the end of time. But it's always been that way. Likewise, in the year Y2K, 2000, a lot of millennial expectations, but people have always been expecting that Jesus will return. And Jesus tells us, just be faithful. It's not for you to know the time or the places. And so just be faithful. Trust in me. Put yourself in my hands. I'll take care of you, no matter what happens then. And so the other thing is Jesus talks about when he was before Pilate, being judged by Pilate. Pilate says, so you are a king? And he says, my kingdom is not of this world. In other words, it's not like the kingdoms that you're thinking of. It's not some recreation of King David's kingdom. It is rather not of this world. It is a spiritual kingdom in which he rules by his word, not by power and force. And one other thing, I guess, go ahead, Victor.
Well, and I think the other thing with the idea of rapture or tribulation, there's a lot of ideas that a lot of people try to predict, right? So right now our world is going through a lot of pain. We've got climate change, natural disasters, wars, poverty, famine, drought, all kinds of earthquakes, and people read this in Scripture, and they're like, oh, this sounds like today, or this sounds like we're moving towards that direction. And I just want to point out, those things have always existed, and they've existed for many years, before Christ and after Christ. And one of the other aspects is in Mark chapter 13, it talks about that even Jesus doesn't know the day or the hour.
According to his human nature.
According
that's
to
right.
his human nature.
Yeah.
And so the fact that we as humans here are trying to predict the day and the hour of this tribulation, I don't want to say it. I want to say that we should have trust and faith in God's promises of Jesus and Jesus' promises to us, that in the end everything's going to be okay. Jesus is in control, and he will come back.
He wins.
He wins, and he forgives us for our sins, and we'll have eternal life with him. And in between, the Apostle Paul talks about this a lot in his letters. First Thessalonians was a letter to a church, and the Apostle Paul was trying to explain things. And the Apostle Paul, time and again in his letters, talks about that the church must endure until that time.
Mm-hmm.
That an endurance is not meant to be like a pain endurance. It means patient waiting, living as if it is an instant reality right now. So it's not as if, like we were talking about Christmas, right? So when I was little, I always thought as Christmas was approaching, I needed to be a really good boy, right? Because then I would get good presents. So it's not as if because now is because you want the time of the tribulation so that you can be a good person leading up to that. The church tells us, number one, it's impossible to be a good person without Jesus, and number two, you should live in accordance with God's will and what he wants you to do at all times, not just because the tribulation is around the corner.
We were talking about that on the drive here. Don't live your life for Judgment Day. Live your life as if you're going to die today, because once you die, that's it.
Let's take a look at some specific things, and I think the biggest one, how much time do we have?
3 minutes.
3 minutes. All right. Let's put it this way. When it talks about, again, in Revelation chapter 20, you've got it says, an angel came down from heaven holding in his hand the key to the bottomless pit and a great chain, and he seized the dragon, the ancient serpent, who is the devil and Satan, and bound him for 1,000 years and threw him into the pit. That simply means Christ came, and by his word he has bound and he has destroyed the power of Satan. I saw thrones and given authority to judge, so the church has the gospel and God's word, and so they can judge then. It talks about the fact that we are that Satan will be released for a short time, but don't be afraid. Think of 1,000 years he's bound, and then for a very short time, 3.5 years, it's short time, and God it will allow this to happen. And how long that'll be with literally 42 months or 3.5 years, it's half of a short time, and so keep that in mind, that God is in control, Satan is not. God always rules this world. It's just that his kingdom is not like ours, and Jesus is most king here on earth. Where he's on his throne, which is the cross, wearing his crown of thorns. That's where Jesus is most king, and that's where he is proclaimed as king, on the cross.
So I guess we have 1 minute for questions.
Yeah, there you go.
Follow up, Rebecca.
Caught her off guard.
Yeah, no. I think that, so let's just kind of do a summary, or if you want to kind of just summary it. The things that maybe are being put out there are not always correct, and a lot of it's driven by fear and driven by and confusion, which we know God is not the author of confusion.
And the desire to predict God.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
And
they
never
want to be the one that told you.
Never underestimate the desire for money as well. That I've got this, so if you do
send a check.
Yeah, exactly. And
you have to watch for that. I was just thinking of a poster I saw that had feet and it said "Get right or get left." you know, and you know, and I think this is, you know, that came to my mind earlier when you were talking.
Well,
about
if your pastor has a $200 million jet, you probably want to look somewhere else. That kind of sounds like Jeff Foxworthy.
It does, yeah. You might.
You might want to consider something else.
Just closing Bible verses, Ephesians chapter 2, at the very beginning. You who were dead in the trespasses and sins in which you once walked, following the course of this world, following the prince of the power of the air, the spirit that is now at work in the sons of disobedience. So, you were once dead in sin. I'm going to skip down a little bit to verse 4. But God, being rich in mercy because of the great love with which he loved us, even when we were dead in our trespasses, has made us alive together with Christ, spiritually alive. By grace you have been saved, and raised us up with him and seated us in the heavenly places in Christ Jesus. So this is a spiritual reality that we are ruling with Christ on his throne by his word. We were dead, we've been made alive. One day our bodies will die, but our souls will be in heaven. And so keep that in mind. Don't be afraid. Listen to Jesus' clear words in that he is in control now, and that's what the book of Revelation is about. Words of comfort, hope, and peace. Be faithful unto death, and Christ will give us the crown of life.
All right, and again, thank you for coming. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Very
Welcome.
nice meeting you.
Welcome to the
our
community.
Yeah.
Tell us your name again.
I'm Vicar Janis Mikits, and I'm the vicar in Faith Salem and Good Shepherd Medora. You're welcome to join us 9:30 to 10:30 in Salem and 11 to 12 in Medora.
And Martin Keller, I'm his supervisor. I'm the pastor at both Salem and Medora, the Lutheran church there. And so thank you for having us on. And Ron?
I'm president of the Lutheran Mission Federation. I'm the one that kind of tries to organize this stuff and make sure that we follow our mission, which is to plant churches and spread the gospel.
Awesome. Thank you guys for coming in. Holly Thompson, thank you for coming in. Salem Crossing and big 4th of July celebrations I know going on always at the 4th of July. And I mean at Salem Crossing.
I got some sparklers yesterday.
Why does that not surprise me? There will be some, I knew there would be some boom there at Salem Crossing.
That's right.
All right, let's thank our sponsors.
We would like to thank Meadowview Healthcare, Walmart, Salem Crossing, Hoosier Uplands, Americans for Prosperity, Fox Pearly Wealth Management, Po' Boys Barbecue, and Dr. Black's Eye Associates, Dr. Mindy Gunn. Thanks so much, sponsors.
All right, happy Friday, everyone. Thank you.
Happy Friday.
Beach Bend Park. That's where my summer happens.
It's where my family's come for generations for great times.
It's where amusement rides and water park slides are just my size.
It's where my friends and I have a blast on the big thrill rides. It's where we can do all the attractions and not spend time in long lines.
It's where you can have unlimited thrills with a 2023 season pass for just $74.99. A pass pays for itself in 2 visits and comes with 2 anytime bring a friend free tickets, discounts, and more. Visit beachbend.com.
Po' Boys Barbecue. It ain't barbecue if there ain't no smoke. New owner Bill and his family welcome you to try the St. Louis style ribs, meat by the pound, or try a variety of dinners with 2 sides. Looking for something lighter? Try sandwiches with pulled pork or chicken, brisket, hand-pounded tenderloin, or the half-pound Angus burger, or ask for the old 38, a sandwich with half brisket and half pulled pork. There are chicken strips, grilled cheese, and a quarter-pound burger for the kids, and smoked chicken wings, haystack onion rings, and French fries. And you'll love their #1 bestseller, the Pig Pin, which includes a heap of steak fries covered in pulled pork and cheese sauce. Doors open Tuesday through Saturday at 10:30 a.m. and 11 a.m. on Sunday. If you're in a hurry, call ahead at 812-570-0020. And they'll have it ready for carry-out or dine-in. Head over to Po' Boys Barbecue for some of the best barbecue you'll ever eat.
Hey y'all, this is Bill from Po' Boy Barbecue. Just remember, we only smoke the good stuff.
You may have heard the kids chanting about favorite freebies at Holiday World and Splash and Safari.
Free soft drinks! Free there are plenty of favorite first and onlys to shout about too, like soaring on America's only launched wing coaster, Thunderbird! The world's longest water coaster. In fact, we're the water coaster capital of the world! For summer fun worth shouting about, find your family's favorites with tickets at holidayworld.com.
Beach Bend Park, that's where my summer happens.
It's where my family's come for generations for great times.
It's where amusement rides and water park slides are just my size.
It's where my friends and I have a blast on the big thrill rides. It's where we can do all the attractions and not spend time in long lines.
Paoli, French Lick, and Jasper's home for rock classics. 97.9 WSLM.
6 minutes after the hour, Coast Pest Control Best of Rick and Bubba Show. This hour brought to you by fieldofgreens.com. That's right. Now imagine this. Imagine you're at your doctor's office. Your doctor glances up from the chart and says, hey, whatever you're doing, keep it up. That's the fieldofgreens.com Better Health Promise, folks. How about that? Each fruit and vegetable they use in this medically selected for specific health benefits. Some support vital organs like heart, lungs, kidneys, while others support metabolism. Listen, we trust it. The guys around here take it. Get started today, and you can save 15% at fieldofgreens.com. Just use promo code BUBBA. That's fieldofgreens.com with the promo code BUBBA to save 15% today, or you can find a link at rickandbubba.com. That's going to be right up on the sponsor. We continue with the Best of Rick and Bubba Show. We've had some great interns over the years, and some of them provided us with a lot of material. This is Charles in charge. He got his head sunburned. Check it out, Best of Rick and Bubba.
Charles, how are you, buddy?
Pretty good. How about you doing?
Good. Charles, I know you helped out with Bubba and some of the guys, Speedy, at the Celebrity Pro-Am last week. We talked about a lot. There just seems to be more stories coming out of that. When you walked in this morning, I couldn't help but notice your forehead.
Right.
I mean, there's no way not to notice it.
Charles, I'll be honest with you. I've seen a lot of sunburns, a lot of blisters. I mean, my goodness, you look like you're turning into a turtle. I've never seen anything like that. Are you part Klingon?
Charles,
I mean, what is it?
Charles, I've had a friend saved from a fire that was not burned that bad.
Yeah, I mean, are you putting anything on that?
Yeah, I spent the whole weekend putting stuff on it and everything, and
I mean, you need to eat an aloe vera plant, to back it up.
Let me tell you something. If a dermatologist sees you today, they'll throw you in an ambulance.
Yeah. Dr. Northington would pass out.
Yeah.
Talk about sun damage, Charles. Oh, man.
Charles, did you not think about wearing a cap?
Well, again, it goes back to those cars not having tops on
them
during the Regis Charity Classic.
I'm going to get Gene Hallman. We got to talk about this.
Y'all ever heard of sunscreen?
Yeah, well that's what I was asking him.
There. I did not expect
Charles,
to be out
Charles, Speedy had some with him. Did you ever at one point go, hey,
he never offered
sunscreen?
Well, I didn't know you needed
Did you see him putting it on his side?
I thought real red about
I thought a grown man could tell when he was burning. Charles was used to his mother standing him on the side of the pool putting it on.
Now, yeah, come here, son. Now, look, he offered me peanut butter crackers, but nothing about suntan lotion or sunscreen.
The mamas, if you're burning, you shouldn't have to be
You're an adult.
Yeah, your mama can't follow you around and say, get mama's little man over and put some lotion on it.
A little man? Oh, God. See, if you'd have been Twittering, you would have thought to have done that.
Yeah. Actually, I was Twittering.
I looked one time, he was running with scissors. Yeah. His forehead looks like a dry desert ground.
I mean, y'all, seriously.
It's cracked
like
during the drought.
You know what? It's like a dry lake bed.
Creek bed. Yeah, during a bad drought. Look, no joke, the whole weekend I couldn't raise my eyebrows. If I ever got upset, no one could tell. His forehead looks like a road map.
Hey, Charles,
start cutting loose.
The good news is people pay for those chemical peels, and you got one for free. I mean, you won't have any wrinkles when that comes off.
You know what? You look like a Klingon.
Yeah.
I mean, it's almost like he's got
like, I'll tell you what it looks like. It doesn't look like he came from a Klingon human marriage, but it looks like he's maybe a fourth Klingon. You know what I mean?
Like fourth generation.
He is a third cousin of a Klingon.
Yes.
There's Klingon in his family.
This is a bad day Columbus is not here to get this on TV, you know?
I got to tell you something. Your head looks, that looks really bad.
Have anybody looked at that?
Have I had anybody look at it?
That's sun poisoning is what that is.
No, it's just sun.
Bingo.
That's sun poisoning.
Yeah. That's sun poisoning.
Well, thank goodness I'm not a hypochondriac because I'd be in trouble.
You probably need to be.
Well, whether you are or not, you got sun poisoning.
What are you putting on?
How's you breathing?
I'm good.
How about whether you are or not, you still got sun.
Yeah. Whether you're scared of it, don't make it any less.
Oh man.
What are you putting on?
some moisturizer or something. My mom gave me something.
I knew it. I knew it.
Hey,
I
Mom.
bet she's putting it on
Mommy
you.
gave No, no, I
You
didn't.
just wandered through life without no guidance at all without your
Mommy
mom.
gave push-up and...
Oh, God.
Did
you
you
go-
go,
did you go home?
Did you go home and lay in her lap?
Charles,
Hey, are you taking like some vitamin E and putting on there? Or,
Vitamin E, I put some other stuff on there, just, you know.
Have you ever thought about a transplant?
You get that, now look, my arms were burned too, but it never did that either.
Look, I know you were galled after that day because I saw you out there working hard. I mean, did you handle the court starch or did somebody have to help you with that too?
Oh,
red rump.
Oh, the golf cart?
Yeah, I know you was galled, a little red rump. He was sweating.
I will tell you this.
I was wearing a black shirt too. I was just like, this is
Yeah, you think he sweats Barkley and he together in one car?
Yeah, he was sweating on me.
Yeah, y'all were watering the grass.
Listen,
He would lean over me and sweat all over me. I'm just like, quit.
Listen, guys. I'm sitting here listening to all the things Charles did wrong with his son, and I'm almost asking the question. Hunt, he wore a black shirt. Yeah, no one does that.
I didn't know how to get the golf cart started.
He has no hat. He has no hat on. None. He has no sunscreen of any kind. Right. Okay. I mean, have you ever been in the sun? I mean, it's like.
Well, I mean, it was like, hey, we're going to be broadcasting from the back porch.
Okay, yes, but time out. But when all of a sudden they go, hey, you're going to caddy for Speedy, did you not go? I tell you what, anybody got any sunscreen? Anybody got a hat? I put some on when I left.
Yeah.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
But you didn't offer me any. Hey, you know, you're going out there. Do you mind?
Again,
why are we
about
having
me?
We think everybody, an adult, can, you know.
I don't know if you know this, Speedy.
Kind of like if you have a headache, you ask somebody, hey, you got an
Hey, listen.
Advil?
Hey, Speedy and Greg are grown. I mean, they assume everybody else around them's grown.
Charles hadn't graduated yet.
That's true. Rick, and you,
my 12-year-old would have been
has.
caddying for me. Then maybe I'd have said, hey, Tyler, you need some sunscreen.
Exactly.
You know,
kind of off
'cause
the
he's
subject.
12.
Can you
'Cause he's
imagine?
12.
Well, I hate to do this, but I have to go back to the fact that Clark's didn't have a roof. Okay,
Right.
we're all
I had a lot
expect. That's a major thing that you really don't ask about. You expect to be there, and it just wasn't there.
Well, you don't spend
Well,
the
I
whole
had car
time
trouble
in the
too.
car.
Let's get on that subject.
I mean, you know, the golf course didn't have a roof. I mean,
yeah, but you can take those moments to get out of the sun in the car, and there was no moments to do that. You know, I mean, just getting out of the sun every now and then helps.
Oh, sure.
You know, it cuts your time way down.
But look at that head. That's unbelievable. I mean, that looks
Charles,
really
at one
bad.
point, could you tell you were burning? You maybe needed to change what you were doing.
About 12th hole. I was sitting there just kind of, you know, whenever your arm turns real red, you touch it, turns white, turns red again. I was like, oh, this is
At one time,
JC said he's in the and this JC said he's at the UAB Burn Center golf tournament. And he said, you need to come there right now. There's physicians that can look at you.
You know, wear my
right now.
UAB graduate shirt.
Did you say JC?
JT.
Yeah, you said JC.
I'd like to send a
Is your son
St. Barkley putting sunscreen on Charles. Well, you know,
Yeah.
Hey Charles, did Barkley dog you any? You know Barkley was rude.
Yeah, he called me knucklehead a couple times. Because look, no joke, we would go up a hill.
I'm calling you Turtlehead today.
we would go up a hill, and in fact, you know, he kind of stole Speedy's cart, and so I drove Barkley around a lot.
Would you love to have been sitting there listening to that conversation?
Make it to the top of the hill, and it start, you know, stopping. I'm like, you might have to get out so we can make it up the hill. He's like, no, we got it.
Oh man, I ain't
Oh,
knucklehead. Hey, knucklehead. Hey, what's
Look, I finally told him.
knucklehead?
I said, you may be Sir Charles. He said, but I'm Charles in charge. I said, take that.
I wish you'd choke slammed.
Choke slam.
Well, you need to go see a dermatologist. I'm talking about today.
You might need to take a wood rack.
Y'all,
for that
seriously,
hair.
I've seen people that have been really burned, and that's what it looks like.
Send it down.
I've seen people really burn. It didn't look that bad.
Right. You know what they're going to have to do? Take skin graft off the
Oh,
hip.
man.
That's sun poison is what it is.
Yeah, it sure is.
Mm.
They
Yeah,
shave,
we slow
they shave
shave.
a little piece of skin off your butt and transplant it.
They can.
Oh,
Now your eyebrows are going to look funny.
And your wrinkles will go a different way. But,
You're right.
Unbelievable.
Every time you eat Mexican, your head's going to hurt.
Rick and Bubba, Rick and Bubba.
Whether you're hosting the crew or just looking to bring a little summer to your table, HelloFresh has just what you need, from seasonal recipes to crowd-pleasing eats like a bratwurst bar and s'mores bundle for the kids. HelloFresh makes summer entertaining a cinch. Relax and enjoy summer with America's #1 meal kit.
Join today and get 16 free meals plus free shipping with the code BUBBA at HelloFresh.com/Bubba. That's the code BUBBA at HelloFresh.com/Bubba, or find a link at RickandBubba.com under the sponsors button. The folks at MyPillow have launched MyPillow 2.0. This new innovative MyPillow has a brand new temperature regulating technology to keep you comfortable throughout the night. Now, core body temperature plays a big role in how you sleep, and this new fabric technology helps regulate your body temp by creating a lower surface temperature for a more restful sleep. Available in 4 loft levels with a 10-year warranty and a 60-day money-back guarantee. Head to MyPillow.com/Bubba to buy one, get one free on the new MyPillow 2.0.
Paid for by Christian Care Ministry.
Let's see, if something costs less, but people are happier with it, that sounds like something to look into, and that's MediShare. Maybe you've heard switching to MediShare to pay for healthcare can save the typical family $500 a month. And that's huge, but it's also true that people are way more satisfied after making the switch, too. The customer satisfaction rate for MediShare is double that of the typical health insurance plan. MediShare works. It's been around for more than a quarter century, and members have shared more than $3 billion of each other's bills. People love having telehealth and a huge nationwide PPO network. So, yeah, you can save a ton and like it better. Imagine being happy with how you're taking care of your health care. So if you're self-employed or part of the gig economy, or you just want a plan you're happy with, you can call right now and get a price within 2 minutes. A very, very smart use of 2 minutes. Here's the number you need. 855-51-BIBLE. That's 855-51-BIBLE. 855-51-BIBLE.
Don't miss July 4th savings now at Lowe's. Save up to an additional $1,000 on select major kitchen appliances. Plus, save up to $3,800 on select 4-piece Samsung kitchen suites. And save on your choice of a DeWalt 20-volt max brushless drill kit or impact driver kit. Just $99 each for a limited time. Lowe's knows home improvement. Valid through 7/5. Appliance savings vary based on purchase amount. Selection varies by location. While supplies last. Exclusions apply. See Lowe's.com for details.
DQ presents... Picture this. You're getting together with all your best friends. Now picture all your best friends are actually the delicious ingredients of the new cake batter cookie dough blizzard. That's DQ soft serve, cake batter flavor, confetti cookie dough pieces, and DQ signature sprinkles. Oh, hey, it sounds like you got some pretty sweet friends. And that's worth queuing the confetti. Cookie dough! The flavor party isn't gonna last forever, so hurry in and get your cake batter fix today. Only at DQ. Happy tastes good.
This could be the start of a break-in.
Stop. This is Simply Safe.
Or the end of one.
Police are on their way.
Introducing the latest innovation in home security. 24/7 lifeguard protection, only from Simply Safe. Now, agents can see and speak to intruders through our new indoor camera to help stop crime in real time and for fast police response. Get 20% off any new system with Fast Protect monitoring at simplysafe.com/radio. There's no safe like Simply Safe.
For nearly 100 years, folks have trusted Blue Star medicated ointment to relieve the pain and itching of almost any skin irritation.
It works on my son's dry, itching feet and their jock itch.
I had this rash on my neck. Nothing worked until Blue Star.
Blue Star worked great on my ringworm without steroids.
My wife and I have been using Blue Star for years. It's never let us down. Look for the white box with the Blue Star in the first aid section. Feel Blue Star work fast, or your money back.
Sponsored by Focus Consumer Healthcare.
Attention, all you coffee drinkers. There's a brand new brew that you definitely want to make part of your daily ritual. If you enjoy delicious, good coffee like us, My Coffee needs to be your new drink. It's organic, which is so important because if not, then it contains chemicals banned in this country decades ago. You've heard us talk about MyPillow for years on this show, and now they've got My Coffee direct from the MyStore.com website. Go to MyStore.com, enter the code BUBBA to save 25% off your order of My Coffee, or find a link at RickandBubba.com. Our friends at Field of Greens just got one of the best testimonials. Listen to this. I've been taking Field of Greens, and this is my second time my doctor has danced into the room praising my blood results. Credit where credit's due. Thank you, Field of Greens. Field of Greens can't promise your doc will dance into the room, but they can promise your doctor will notice your improved health or your money back. Let's get you started with 15% off. Go to fieldofgreens.com, use the promo code BUBBA for 15% off, or go to rickandbubba.com under the sponsors.
Mitchell, Bedford, and Bloomington's home for rock classics. 97.9 WSLM.
I can't believe what I've just heard, that Adler claims he broke up a fight at Waffle House by screaming, "After midnight, this is a family restaurant."
Yeah.
And
Waffle House after midnight
and
is not a family.
and that's when they just came to themselves.
They stopped.
Right.
They've been fighting for a while, too. Don't forget that.
It's clear. It's clear that Adler has a gift. When he can speak that kind of power to break up that kind of brawl.
Right.
I say we send him to the Middle East.
I think you're right.
Let him settle this thing.
What if what would you do if the Palestinians and the Israelis came to the table, and Adler was sitting there and he simply screamed out, Waffle House is a family restaurant.
Right.
And all of a sudden everybody said, that's it. We're putting our weapons down.
Weapons are down.
Well, it might
How
mean
about
he's
that?
the Antichrist at that point.
Well,
but
thank you, Bubba. Well
I
said.
thought about that.
Well said. So that stopped it.
for real, that's
Adler,
a true
you
story.
made that completely.
Okay, Greg. Okay,
Or either
well,
you drank so
you're
much
also,
you thought that happened.
You're also really a kind and caring person. Now,
Now
we're
you're
all
telling
just
me
lying.
that you stopped.
Now we're all just lying, Greg.
Adler, I believe you. I believe you.
Thank you. For real.
Did they get up, stand up, and say sorry about that to everybody, back to the scattered and covered?
There was 3 to 4 guys in a tangle, and it's a tornado of fists and fury, rambling through the Waffle House. People are getting pushed, and the mugs are getting knocked over. The coffee that's kind of burnt, but I still drink tons of it.
Yeah.
That's those are getting knocked over, and y'all, people are ditching out on their bills because they see this is their chance to escape. It was about 30 seconds of insanity. The whole restaurant's looking, and it's packed. This is new. I guess it's New Year's Day now at that point. So the place is packed. Who's hopping? I had the jukebox going, by the way. Every time I go into a Waffle House, I start off with Hotel California and then just go from there. Yeah. It's a good one. People appreciate it. They do. So it's for real. 2 guys that were probably 6'9", 10, 6'9", 6'10".
There you go.
If I had to guess.
Former NFL which, by the way, from Adler's point of view, that means 6 foot and 6'1".
Yeah,
There you go. That's
in his
fine.
mind, they were.
Sure.
Adler, I believe you.
They honestly, the 2 main guys. There was 2 peripheral guys, but the 2 main guys fell at my feet because I stood up. I'm right there.
Scared to death.
I know.
Like a statue.
Bowed up like Iron Man / Schwarzenegger / Sylvester Stallone / Bruce Willis. And at my feet, and I seriously yelled, "This is a family restaurant!" I yelled, "This is a family restaurant." On New Year's Day at 1 o'clock in the morning
at Waffle House.
Now, I will say
technically it wasn't a family restaurant.
I have actually witnessed Adler intervene at a restaurant before, so he will do it.
It's kind of my thing.
And I got to say, it wasn't pretty.
Is he the restaurant police?
And he,
Really?
I got to tell you,
What did he call this time?
Kids.
They know how to act?
That time was kids. This time it was, I think, like Steve said, former NFL players or something. They were big.
Right.
It was 15, probably 14 to 17-year-old kids.
They called them?
And a bunch of them.
He was looking up to him. He had his finger
I'm
on
not
it.
talking like 1 or 2. I'm talking like 15 to 20.
I wish that.
Where was this at?
It was at a burger place, and my whole family was there, and I'd never seen that side of Adler. I was kind of proud of it. So now whether this happened or not, I don't know, but I witnessed him intervene before.
And that 14-year-old was big, guys. That 14-year-old was really big.
He needed a shave. Hey, didn't you get in a fight, call a fight at Auburn one time? Did you tell me about that? That you came off
that
your
was
porch?
just me getting my butt kicked by like 3 dudes punching me in the face repeatedly while I just stood there. It was terrible. That's a whole different story. Let me finish this.
I thought you ended it with a big statement or something. It seems like you yelled. Maybe
I started that one.
You yelled stop.
I started that one. The dude was in my face so much. I was just like, I ain't got no beef, man. I ain't got no beef.
Bang.
I don't know why I was saying.
What were you fighting about?
He was on my doorstep. He was trying to beat up my roommate. He was on my doorstep. He opened my door, and I slammed my door shut. I go, look, you gotta go. I ain't got no beef, but you gotta go. And then he punched me in the face, and then I just looked him dead in the eye. Seriously, this is a true story. He punched me real hard in the face, and I just looked at him. He punched me in the face. I just looked at him. I go, that didn't really hurt, man.
Sound like that's all you got?
That's all you got.
I ain't got no beef.
But for real, back to the
So
Waffle House.
I want to get your catchphrases. I ain't got no beef.
I ain't got no beef.
This is a family restaurant. And then what was the one at the burger place? Same thing, family restaurant?
You're
too old for that?
That one, yeah. It was you're too old.
Ain't got no band, Randy, or something?
That's it. That was it. Y'all, but seriously, whack the Waffle House. The 2 guys are at my feet. I scream, this is a family restaurant. And the restaurant is silent. There are 30 people just looking, waiting, watching. And seriously, the 2 guys that are causing the problems just stop. And the guy in the headlock was like, I'm in a headlock. I'm not getting out of this. This is my chance to kind of, So there was a little bit of that. And he goes, he's right. Yeah, he's right. And they both stood up. Bull's right. And they look at each other, and I'm standing there in between them as if I could do anything. And they split. They walked their separate ways. I just turn around and sit down and start eating my food, and like the whole restaurant's like, hey man, this guy,
Did the law not show up? I thought they called them.
The law did show up very quickly after that.
Because of the Waffle House hotline.
Did you tell the law? I got it.
I did.
Greg, you know what they said when he said back down, don't you? Everybody all across the Waffle House knows it is a family restaurant at 1 a.m. on New Year's Day. They looked at each other and said, who was that crooked man?
Who was that crooked little
I got
man?
some free hash browns. That's not a lie. The lady behind the counter gave me some free hash browns.
After you declared it was a family restaurant, all the drunks and the strippers all turned around and started eating again.
That's right. That's right, Greg.
So did everybody just start eating like nothing happened?
Everybody started eating again, guys.
How about that?
And it was really weird. I was with an acquaintance, a dude friend of mine, and he was there with his girlfriend at the time. She was sitting.
Third wheel.
She was sitting next to